Who do you trust, government or business? What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, February the 19th. And again, the question is who do you trust more, government or business? Well, if you trust the government, you should go see a doctor and have your head examined, because the government never has our or your best interest at heart. The government is about themselves and about the money they can steal through the lobbyists and through the bad deals they make that, of course, we, as the citizens of the United States of America, get to pay for through our tax dollars, through the hidden tax of inflation, through every other ridiculous thing that we have to do. So remember, government and the Federal Reserve don't create anything but debt. Business runs the country. Business makes the money that pays the taxes, that pays the employees that help us survive. And of course, it's getting harder and harder in this country with the restrictions and the laws and with the destruction based on this current administration that is basically destroying business one at a time. Okay? So certainly, I hope your answer is that you trust business over government, because government is the same people that took a raise during COVID. They just took another raise while the country's in a recession, and yet people aren't working. They're losing their jobs. We're having record numbers of layoffs, okay? And they come up with some crazy formula that tells us how many jobs we added, not telling us that they were part-time jobs and that people are not getting benefits anymore either, okay? Wrap that into the consumer debt is at 20-year highs, $394 billion, okay, to a record $16.9 trillion that American consumers are in debt, okay? Now, I don't know about you. Now, I don't have debt, but I know many who do. And what are you going to do when you don't have your job? What are you going to do, and how are you going to pay for all this debt that you created? You know, we've become a country that the average family doesn't have $1,000 for emergency spending, but yet we can continue to charge it, right? Get it on that credit card. And, you know, it's a wonderment that the Fed is puzzled how younger borrowers are struggling with credit card debt and auto payments. Now we're seeing record numbers of repos. We're seeing a record number of debt on cars. And of course, who created that? Well, of course, the car companies created it. 0% interest. And by the way, for those of you who fall for that bullshit of 0% interest, your effective rate at 0%, if you go through the real numbers, is about 8% interest. Okay? So it really isn't a true zero. It's a artificial zero that does not allow you to get the benefits of those who will pay cash for cars. But we do know that probably now, in fact, a new Gallup poll shows that over 50% of Americans do not believe the news, okay, that they are there to deceive the public. And certainly I can vouch for that because I listen to it. And since I am a part of the news occasionally, I have to be on with these people that are lying. And of course, one of the reasons I'm not on as much as I used to be is because I won't lie to people that are watching. Okay, I won't give a false reading because I don't have an agenda. Okay, when I'm speaking on TV about markets, I'm giving you what I think of the market, not what they want me to think. Okay, and I think it's very important for you to understand that they do not have your best interest at heart. What they really have in their mind is to sell advertising and get ratings. It's a ratings business, not a business that is designed to help the American consumer, not designed to help Americans, but to obviously help their own bottom line, which I can't fault for them. But I think that Americans need to wake up and realize that depending on what channel you're watching, you're getting somebody's views. You're no longer getting just the actual news, okay? There is no real true news organization anymore. There's either left news or right news. Very few that I've seen are in the middle. And of course, we saw our president walk out on a question about China. And of course, we've got the oil prices coming down lower right now. But of course, I will make you all a wager that somehow come end of April, beginning of May, suddenly there will be a production shortage by the criminals at OPEC and Saudi Arabia that will then suddenly spike your gas prices to Pluto. Okay, and if you were paying 5, 6 months ago or 8 months ago, you're probably paying 6 this time through. This is no more than a game that we've seen OPEC and Saudi Arabia play out many, many, many times in years past. So I think it is something to remember. And of course, we continue with this battle about guns and gun ownership and the Second Amendment. And there are now some leaked documents from the ATF with an aggressive push to shut down gun stores. Now, I don't know about you. Okay. Now, I was never a gun owner until I was 65 years old, which is now. I was never against guns. I think that, again, if you want to own a gun, great. Okay. As long as it's legal, as long as you have the permit, and as long as you have training, great. Because, we seem to be mystified and do not believe that if they ban guns to legal citizens, do you actually think the criminals will not get the guns? Now, let's be realistic about the facts that in history, the criminals are always ahead of law enforcement. Okay? Because criminals are always coming up with new ways. And you think they're not going to get, do you think the gangsters, do you think the street folks that have guns that are out to rob you aren't going to get guns when you don't have one? Don't be a fool to realize that guns are not the problem. As they say, guns don't kill people, people kill people. It is somebody making a decision, okay? And certainly, is when I get guns, I have to go through the background checks. And again, I have no problem with that. I think it's important that we do make sure who's getting them. But trying to shut down a business and strike your Second Amendment, they've already done about as much damage to the First Amendment as they can. Pretty soon you'll have no rights left whatsoever. Is that what you would like to, as an American? We've already got the U.S. cities drowning in debt. Okay, and it's amazing. The top 5 cities drowning in debt. They happen to be all left states. Okay, and they happen to be the 5 highest tax states in the land. So somebody tell me why that the highest tax states are always the states that are busted and always the states looking for more money, more tax dollars, when states like Texas, Las Vegas, Florida are flourishing, yet Illinois, New York, and California are always broke. That would be a great question to get an answer to. Because, of course, listening and living at Illinois for a while, for most of my life, realizing the amount of money that I gave away for nothing. Okay? And I think one of the big things is which is very, very tragic and very sad to what's happening here, is the lines between the Fed, the Treasury, and the White House no longer exist. Now, if you're not aware, the Federal Reserve is supposed to be a private corporation. It is a private corporation, but it's supposed to be an independent thinking and making a decision. Now, they violated their mandate by so far. They're so far out of it that they could probably be sued. Okay? But in the meantime, it has become one big melting mix to really strip you of more of your freedom as they push towards that digital currency, which means that you have like a tracking device up your ass. Okay, wherever you go, they know. Okay, there will be no more paper currency. There will be no more freedom of what you do. Okay, there'll be no privacy as to where you're spending your money and what you're doing. And I think that becomes something else that becomes pretty much of a tragedy. I think that the destruction to this country, which we'll get more into in my commentary, has become brutal. And of course, now we have this brand new chat GPT, okay, which is the Microsoft AI, which has the answers to everything. And did you know that it's woke? Did you know that it leans left? It does not identify women. It does not identify many things, okay? Because again, it was written by the left for the left, okay? And can you recognize how far that they are willing to go to destroy, okay? From our education system that starts with all liberal teaching. And again, I have nothing against liberals. In fact, again, me being a libertarian, what you do in your own personal life, I could care less. Okay, you want to dress up, you want to be transgender, go for it. Okay, but I don't have to pay for it, and I don't want to see it, and I don't want it taught in my school system. Okay, to people that can be pushed over the edge. Okay, for something else. Okay, so I think that again, I think that we're seeing that just another chink in the armor, another piece of destruction trying to destroy America's freedom. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 19th of February. And of course, boy, the year's going fast and markets are struggling, and we'll get into that in our market report right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line, Sunday, the 19th of February. Well, kids, what's up? We got lots of stuff to talk about and lots about markets, but of course, obviously, you know that I have some brokers that I recommend, and I have many brokers, just to have full disclosure. But the two that I prefer, and for our futures and commodities trading and letter of direction stuff, it is Capital Trading Group. There is nobody like them. There's nobody who offers you their customer service that they offer. There is nobody who gives you the ability to do the things that we do. They are our partners in the Day Trader's Dream program. And again, check them out, info.capitaltradinggroup.com/Bubba, and their information is on the side, scrolling. And of course, for equities and options, it's Trade Your Brokerage. Listen, they're $10 a month flat. They saved me $100,000 a year in commission. Okay. And they are as good as it gets when it comes to the business. Their service is second to none. We have the ability to automate your portfolio trading at no cost. Okay. If you're a member. And of course, our hedging software is a licensing fee, which you pay the licensing fee to us, but your commissions do not change. They're still $10 a month flat with Trade Your Brokerage. And it can be all automated for you if you choose to do so. And it's try.tradeyour.com/Bubba. Again, scrolling on the sides. And of course, our high school program, this is our last year to attempt. It's obvious that because of what's going on in this country and the lean to the left, nobody wants to teach anything that people want to learn. They don't want to teach capitalism or financial literacy. I think that's a tragedy. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, our market report for this Sunday, February the 19th. Welcome back. And here we are with Bubba's Bottom Line on Sunday the 19th. And of course, Tiger Woods made the cut. What could be better than that, especially when I bet him at plus 180? But he snuck in to the cut, but good for Tiger. It was nice to see him out there. He hit some great shots. But in the meantime, markets, not so much. Okay, it was a real struggle in markets. I think what we saw, or what we're seeing, is the beginning of the end of this run. And I think that we're headed far lower. Now, again, our positions don't tell you that, which when I get to, and I'll tell you where we stand. But I think when you look at the picture, okay, you saw that basically for the week, pretty much flat. But there seems to be a little bit more emphasis on the selling. And I think that the investors are starting to realize that, these companies with these shitty earnings that try to make them look good, you can dress them up like it looks like it. If it looks like it and it smells like it, it probably is it. And I think the Americans are becoming wise to how companies have been trying to underpromise, no matter how low it is, and then overdeliver. But we'll see. Again, I think we're probably really close to breaking down hard. But of course, we use the phases of the market right now. We're probably right at very key support. If it breaks from here, let's say 40, 50 in the S&P, I would look out below. Okay, but we're not through there. So again, and we don't make those predictions. I'm just telling you what I see from a standpoint. But in the meantime, as we do look at the indexes, last week the S&P, Dow, Russell, and NASDAQ were all pretty much around the flat line. It felt like they were down a lot, but they were up early and down late, and we had a lot of bounce around. And of course, we're split right now. We're short the Dow, we're short the Russell, we're long the NASDAQ, we're long the S&P. And the Russell was the strongest of the week last week. But again, nothing was up massively, nor was it down massively. But we saw all four major indices come down to major support and bounce a little bit, and we'll see if the bounce can continue. Remember, tomorrow is a holiday, President's Day, so markets are closed, although they are open electronically, so be prepared. I mean, you could see some movement. I mean, I won't be trading, but there could be some action. In the meantime, as we look at around the board at the positions now, again, we do not trade the dollar anymore, and somebody asked me why we don't do it. Well, a lot of the New York exchanges charge extra fees to trade through, so it just became a product that wasn't that great to begin with a lot of liquidity, just easier not to trade it because, of course, the euro currency, which we do trade. But we would be long dollars right now if we were in, but we're not trading. But we are short euro currency, which continue, and I think this may be the run that eventually brings them back down below par and hits that 88-cent target that I'm looking for. So we are still short. Bitcoin, we are short Bitcoin right now at the moment. Now again, it had a nice move up, and we caught most of it, and now it is turned over. And but again, I think Bitcoin's going much higher. As I will always give you my opinion versus what our actual position is. I'm a believer. I do think it's going higher, but certainly a pullback would not be a surprise considering the big move we just saw. A little reversion to the mean, excuse me. And of course, the bonds and notes are under heavy pressure, which what does that tell you? Well, no matter what the Fed says, the market says that interest rates are going higher, and we are still short bonds and notes. And again, I don't see that changing anytime soon. It certainly could, but certainly I think that we're going to see some more heavy pressure. In the metals, gold and silver were short, and they both had pretty rough weeks. And it was amazing. If you go back and look at when they peaked a couple of weeks ago, I think what happened is that kind of the opposite of a short squeeze became a long squeeze. The buyers got too aggressive, and then there was nobody left to buy, and they're falling hard. And again, I didn't think they'd get back to 1840. Well, now gold looks like it could test 1800, but we'll see. In the meantime, gold and silver are both down. We're short on both. Platinum, we no longer trade anymore, but we would be short platinum as well. As we look at at copper, okay, copper, we are short, and had a little bit of a bounce last week, but it doesn't make logic sense. I think that if you look at the chart, you'll see that it's probably another great spot to be a seller right now. And of course, natural gas continues to go. And somebody asked me on Friday, how low can it go? I said, I hope it'll go to zero. We're short it right now. But we know at some point we're going to see some buyers step in. But it is not typically the right time of year for natural gas to get a squeeze. So I would think we'll see some movement here. But obviously, certainly you go back under $2. Okay. In the grains, we're long all the grains. They're really having struggles breaking to the upside. They're not breaking down, but they're having trouble getting through that top end resistance. And this is kind of all correlated across all markets right now, that the quietness of markets in general, the lack of volume, the lack of liquidity. However, if I were to predict, okay, I think we get a big market in commodities this year and a very bad market in equities. That's my prediction. Okay, but again, I'm not trading off that. I will tell you when I pick little spots where I say that I'm going to buy something or whatever that's counter, but that's just a trade. It has nothing to do with my overall positions. Okay, but grains all had a week. They're all up at resistance. They could break above, or they could pull back and stay in this consolidation range. This is one of the problems. And of course, in the meats, which we no longer participate in the meats in our portfolios, only because the lack of liquidity, and again, with the margin rates, we had to just make some changes. But cattle continues to rally. And of course, I expect cattle to continue to rally as long as crude oil continues to go lower, because again, it's a budgetary issue. If people can afford their gas, and they can afford steak. When gas gets higher, it bodes well for pork. So if we were trading them, we'd be long cattle, both fats and feeders and short hogs. And speaking of oil, crude is right now in a dead solid consolidation, probably 74 to 80. It's about as tight as you can go. If you go back about the last 5 weeks, you'll see it's just in a tight little band. Okay, and I think that when you look at it, you have to decide. And again, I think that crude goes a lot higher. Okay. I think that this is a game being played by OPEC, like I said. But again, right now, okay, we are long crude. Okay. Now, not because of my opinion, this just happens to be the way it is. But I think overall, I think we see all-time new highs in crude before it's all said and done. Okay. And of course, as we look into the softs, okay, cocoa exploded higher, which we are long. Sugar was higher, we're long. Cotton is still really solid in consolidation, but headed lower. We're still short. Coffee, which we reversed to long, is exploding higher. And OJ, which has been like on a major tear, we just shorted it on Friday. Okay, so again, we're looking for where we stand and what we see. But in the meantime, we'll see. Again, I'm not going to predict. I do think the markets are in a lot of trouble. But again, our positions don't dictate that. So let's remember that I'm not predicting. And let's take a break and come back with, of course, my commentary right here on Bubba's Bottom Line on Sunday, February the 19th. We'll be right back. Well, kids, just a reminder of our brokerage partners. And remember that I have other brokers. And they're scrolling on the side. Just Trade Your Brokerage, Capital Trading Group, and, of course, our high school program. Again, and if you're interested in any of our programs, just shoot me an email. We've been knocking them dead pretty well, and especially on the Saturday options call. In the meantime, let me get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and, of course, my commentary. And no football, no real sports to talk about, but we'll get back to my commentary. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, the 19th of February. And, of course, remember tomorrow, no work tomorrow, no markets. It is President's Day. We'll be doing the Monday call, but it is President's Day. And, of course, as you know, as I look around the country, I look around at the things that are going on, it really makes me sad to see what's happening to the America that I grew up in. Starting with all this AI and this, we referenced earlier the Chat GPT, which is basically based liberal. And again, I don't have anything against liberals. Again, this is not a political message. This is a message of our country. Okay. The destruction of the America we all know and love, or hopefully we all know and love, okay, is been rapidly being pushed forward by this administration. Now, this happens to be this administration that doesn't care. That Biden won't answer questions about China. Okay, he walks out. You've got the border problems. You've got the country falling apart bit by bit. And I don't care if you want to go ahead and email me and tell me it's the greatest country in the world. It still is. But the margin is narrowing. And the problems that we are going to face here if we don't do something soon is going to get worse. And I urge you, if you are a fan of the show, if you like what I have to say and want to share this message, I would hope you would send it to your friends and people that you think would enjoy the message, because it's going to take us, the American citizens, to change. The politicians are not going to change what's going on in this country. Okay? The only way to affect change is for the citizens to take control, and that is by voting out these assholes that are stealing our money. Okay? They are forcing us to pay more taxes. They are ruining your Social Security with the Ponzi scheme of Social Security. And somebody wrote me a nasty note a couple of weeks ago that they're going to get their Social Security, they're guaranteed it. You ain't guaranteed anything. Okay? If the government defaults on your Social Security, they can do so. They have the money, you don't. Okay? So don't think just because you paid in, you're going to get it. It is a gigantic Ponzi scheme that is designed with a flaw, because it was basically designed originally for people to die at 62 and collect at 65. So the margin gave them time. That is no longer the case. Social Security age needs to be at 80. So the destruction of our country, of our wealth from the middle class and lower, has been tragic. And we need to, the only way we can take care of this is to spread the message to as many as we can and understand where our best interest lies. Anyways, this is Bubba's Bottom Line. Todd Bubba Horwitz. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy the day off tomorrow if you got it. And we'll see you back here on Tuesday with the Bubba's Day Update. And, of course, next Sunday with Bubba's Bottom Line. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you later.